Spider-Man? What the hell are you doing here? Look, I know this might sound crazy, but I am Spider-Man. I am the real Peter Parker from another dimension. When Peter and Doctor Strange conducted that spell, it pulled all kinds of alternate versions of already existing heroes, including me. So wait. You mean to tell me that you're the real Spider-Man? That you're really Peter Parker? And because of what happened in No Way Home, you somehow ended up here. And what, you just decided to break into my fucking house? How'd you even get into my room? One moment I was just swinging throughout New York City, and the next moment I ended up here in your room, and the portal just happened to open up here in this exact spot. Oh, so the portal just opened up. Well, that's just fucking great. Well, Spidey, how may I help you today? And why the fuck are you sitting down watching my video about Spider-Man PS1? Being that when the multiverse gets disrupted, it can band heroes together. And I believe, at that time, I was having a spider sense that you or somebody was gonna review a video game based on Spider-Man. And I believe because of me having that spider sense at that exact moment, it sent me here. Something tells me by you reviewing this game the way you do, it looks like you could help me save the multiverse. I know that might sound absolutely batshit crazy, but you gotta help me. And this, at least in our scenario, is the only way it can be done. Okay, so let me get this straight. You somehow knew that I was going to be reviewing Spider-Man 2 Enter Electro on PS1, and you believe that's why you were sent here, because somehow this has to do with the multiverse of Spider-Man getting all screwed up because of the Doctor Strange spell, and now somehow I'm involved with it? That's just fucking insane, dude. But if the multiverse really is at stake, and if I am to be involved and help you, well, then what the hell are we waiting for, Spider-Man? Let's review this game and save the goddamn multiverse. Alright, man, thank you so much. You won't regret this. Oh, and by the way, I'm sorry to tell you, I may have clogged your toilet. You what?
And now, Spider-Man 2.
After the monumental success of Neversoft's Spider-Man, publisher Activision smelled the money and knew that a follow-up had to be made. Neversoft would not return to develop the sequel as they were now involved with the Tony Hawk's Pro Skater series. Taking their place would be none other than Vicarious Visions. Released in late 2001 exclusively for the PS1, Spider-Man 2 Enter Electro hit store shelves and received mostly positive reception. Most would say the first game fared better, and I am in that category for sure. Heighten your spider senses and grab your web shooters, it's time to web swing our way through Enter Electro. As seen in the game's title, we have a new main antagonist in the form of Electro. Electro breaks into a lab and steals some new type of electric weaponry to make himself more powerful. As expected, he escapes no problem and continues to work out his plan. Spider-Man, while out on patrol, comes across Beast from the X-Men. Beast acts as our tutorial guide for the opening level, a bit jarring considering there already is a training mode which offers the same information about the controls. Here you get to learn how to web swing, the use of web cartridges, punch and kick, shoot web, picking up health packs, and targeting. Spider-Man sees a mysterious hooded figure and decides to investigate, leaving a spider tracer on him. The game does give us something more with this level. Unlike the first game, you actually get to roam the city streets for a bit, but sadly this is the only level where you get to do this. There isn't a whole lot to do either, just beat up some goons, put out a couple of fires, and then take to the rooftops once again. Spider-Man continues his pursuit and gets PTSD from being at full health once again.
I'm already at full health. I'm already at full health.
I'll say one thing that this level has going for it, the music. In fact, all of the game's music is good, just not as good as the first game. Unfortunately, Tommy Tallarico did not make the game's soundtrack, which would explain why, at least in my opinion, it sounds like a far cry from the original. The music does fit the tone for each area, so I'll give credit where it's due. Eventually, we come to a warehouse to beat up some more generic thugs and torture one of them for some information on the whereabouts of the mysterious hooded dude. Suddenly, Shocker appears out of nowhere, and we are thrust into a boss fight with him. The objective is to beat the hell out of him before the warehouse blows up. Once that is done, Spider-Man goes on his way to that warehouse only to come across a group of thugs setting up a bomb bomb. This is where I began to notice the game throwing boring puzzle-solving elements into the mix. To me, this level is such a pace breaker. You have 2 minutes to find a group of guys and take a key from them to deactivate a part of the bomb, and you have to do that 4 times. Enter Electro attempts to be more grand than its predecessor, which one can argue it does do that at times. The hangar level opens with this field with the camera zoomed out to make it look big, and all you do is beat up guys with the turret guns. Once more, Spider-Man misses his chance to get the cloaked guy, and now he must stop a plane from crashing and killing the pilot inside. A special shout out to this level, as it's a little more exciting and different enough where it feels like something from the first game. While the plane is creeping up on you, you must destroy barrels, open doors, and slow down the propellers to stop the plane. Then you swing across buildings while trying to get closer to a signal, and you can ignore all the enemies, making this feel drawn out and pointless. Then we make our way to the train station. The puzzle solving element pretty much takes over for the remainder of the game. You need to activate switches to turn on a power grid, followed by more switches to be able to get a single train moving. We find that Electro is working with Sandman, and now we encounter a pseudo boss fight. Sandman will constantly put up a wall of sand to prevent you from reaching the train while beating on you. The key is not to attack Sandman, but to destroy the wall and continue to chase the train. Once Spider-Man boards the train, the Beetle appears out of fucking nowhere for no reason at all, and Spider-Man gets his next clue. Meanwhile, we see Electro holding a meeting with the other bad guys. He states how a woman named Dr. Watts must finish the device for him to unlock its full power. Then Hammerhead is introduced, going over their plan of how they want to kidnap her. We make our way to this elevator room and, legit no word of lie, repeat a hostage mission taken right from the first game. This leads us to Hammerhead, who wields a gun and will try to headbutt you. The fight gets taken outside, and now a helicopter is shooting you down as well. This did ramp up the challenge a little bit and gave me some trouble in the process. Spidey feels that Dr. Connors should know something about what's going on, but realizes he's in danger. Here you start by going through the laboratory, fending off against robots, deactivating lasers, and then this part. You need to climb up these platforms that go around this tower, all to hit a button that activates a single door. Why does it sound like I'm complaining? Because it's a pain to land on these small platforms. When Spider-Man swings through the air, he's designed to go across large gaps, meaning you can easily miss the platforms if you aren't careful. You may think, why not just go on the wall? Well, whenever I did that, a bolt of electricity knocked me off. After destroying more drones and pressing more switches, you come to this nightmare of another pointless climbing section. While avoiding these lasers and electrical walls that can significantly damage your health, you have to press more switches. I swear to God, that's all you do in this game is press switches to make a random thing fucking happen. A lot of the time, the controls just feel janky when Spider-Man isn't performing a certain action correctly. If you aren't on the exact fucking pixel in front of a button, it will not be pressed. This was very frustrating in the climbing section when lasers were going up my spider ass while I was struggling to press a single switch. Finally, we make it to Dr. Connors as he has transformed into the lizard, and so we are supposed to make an antidote to cure Connors. The game fails to mention how to begin doing that exactly. I stumble upon this computer where you must match up these balls in the green part of the vial. Do that 3 times and you'll have access to the antidote. Sounds simple, but there is one fatal flaw. Should you take too long like I did because I was confused, the lizard will burst through the door, not allowing you to finish the formula.
Back to formula.
Meaning that he is practically invincible. In this scenario, the only way to defend yourself is by beating him up, but since there is no antidote, his health will go down extremely fucking slowly.
This is something else.
Now, I don't know if you can go back to that computer terminal if he bursts through the door before you end up finishing anything, but if you can, it's going to be really tough to do so. After all of that, there is still one issue you do not want to overlook. After creating the antidote in the computer terminal, you have to collect the antidote itself in another room that you get thrown into. Between the scare of the lizard yeeting you across and the excitement of the explosions and all that shit, you might easily miss the antidote power-up. When you throw it at the lizard, he's open for attack. Rinse and repeat until he's defeated. Kirk Connors turns back into his old self and reveals to Spider-Man that Electro stole the device now known as the Bionexus, a device capable of greatly enhancing the bioelectric energy in living beings. And being that this is Enter Electro, we get another set of annoying ass levels before we get to the final encounter. Across these rooftops, hordes of endless drones and laser turrets attack you constantly. You have to turn off these terminals in order to access the lab where Dr. Watts is. You have to rely on the draw distance of the PS1 to guide you throughout the rooftops, meaning because all the buildings look the same and and you cannot see the entire environment, you might end up getting lost and have to retrace your steps a few times over. Then the Sandman re-emerges and you get to have an actual boss fight with him this time. You have to damage him by turning on the valves to douse him with water and lay the smackdown while he tries to pummel you. After making his way to Biotech, Spider-Man realizes Electro will be after a special diamond from a museum which will allow him to fully power the BioNexus device. Spider-Man finds Electro in the museum only for him to bring these samurai statues to life. They must be destroyed so you can pick up their parts and throw them at this electricity generator. Then we could finally fight Electro. Are you fucking kidding me? Yep, it's one last bullshit climbing section. You have to climb all the way up while avoiding electrical bolts. It's not hard, but it's very tedious because you have to figure out a proper way to not get hit. And if you do get hit, you'll be sent all the way back down. Then we have part 1 of a 2-part boss fight. In this planetarium room, you have to make your way up to Electro and knock him around a few times. Electro escapes with the diamond and Dr. Watts is rescued, and now Spider-Man goes to find Electro to end his plans. This is where things get a little dark. This game was originally going to be released just a couple of weeks prior to 9/11. What has now been found and playable via emulation, the first version of the game has some differences that were changed for the post 9/11 version. Originally, the final battle was to take place on top of the World Trade Center, but they joined the buildings together with a bridge and changed the window textures to further differentiate it from any 9/11 references. After Dr. Watts speaks with Spider-Man, it cuts to a shot of the Twin Towers with Spider-Man asking himself, where would you go to be on top of the world? In the final release, the shot of the towers was replaced with a black screen and Spider-Man's question was cut. Among other changes were level names being changed so they wouldn't have any references to aerial flights, and in the unlockable storyboards, a storyboard of the Twin Towers was removed. And if all that wasn't heartbreaking, Marvel released a comic a couple of months after Enter Electro's release. The Amazing Spider-Man number 36 sees Spider-Man mourning over the wreckage of 9/11 with the likes of Dr. Doom even tearing up over the deaths of innocent lives. That is some powerful shit right there. Back to a more positive vibe, it's time to defeat Electro once and for all.
Electro, I'm gonna web this controller so far up your fucking ass!
I'm not going to lie, fighting him atop this massive structure during a thunderstorm is pretty badass. First, the electricity conductors must be destroyed so he cannot recharge his power, then you have to hide behind energy generators, that way Electro will shock them, and in turn leave himself vulnerable for attack. After all that brutality, the day is saved. We get a fun little cutscene of the villains trying to play a card game much like the heroes in the last game. Hammerhead eventually asks the villains from the previous game if they know any other card games in the nearby cell. They gave the credit sequence a bit of personality as it starts with Spider-Man providing commentary about the developers.
Alright, that's coming straight out of your security deposit.
Once again, you can find hidden comic books, look at storyboards, view cutscenes, character models and bios, unlock concept art, and even Daily Bugle headlines. There is also a training mode featuring Professor Xavier and Rogue from the X-Men. It's more of the same stuff you've already done, but I do like this 3D wireframe setting. Of course, you can unlock additional costumes like before, and if you really don't feel like doing all that, you can enter the cheat Aunt May to unlock everything. What If mode also makes a return, providing goofy Easter eggs sprinkled throughout the adventure. You know, Spider-Man, we haven't heard from you in a while. Why don't you give your take on some things? I do agree that this was not a lot of fun to play compared to the first game. The story didn't feel as intriguing as the last one, and I feel it only got intense towards the end when Electro powered the BioNexus device. I still give Vicarious Visions respect for going all out with the colorful cast of characters as best as they could. Rino Romano reprises his role as Spider-Man, Jennifer Hale this time voices Dr. Watts and Rogue, and Darren Norris and D. Bradley Baker provide all other voices. Overall, it's not a terrible game, but it could have been done a lot better. I'll agree with you there, Spider-Man. To be honest, I really want to like this game, but between its sometimes janky controls, its overuse of puzzle solving, the tame music, and open style levels that feel more like added fluff, I consider this to be a downgrade from Spider-Man 2000. I know there are a lot of comparisons to that game, but it's hard not to when this is a direct sequel to the last one. Vicarious Visions are a good developer, but in my opinion, I believe this game would have been better if it was handled by Neversoft. I'd say play it if you are curious, and maybe you might get get more enjoyment out of it than I did. Well, congratulations, Dominic. We saved the multiverse. We did? Yeah. What the fuck you mean we did? Nothing happened. What are you talking about? We're two images talking to each other on a screen. This isn't even a live-action segment. Well, it doesn't have to be. Oh, what? So it just happens off camera? Well, anyways, with all that being said, Spider-Man, would you care to do the honors of wrapping up this review? Sure.
Thank you for watching this review, and we'll see you in hell, Spider-Man Slayers.
And have a happy Thanksgiving.
Until next time, true believers, Excelsior!